Welcome back to Jabol Story Recap. Today I'm going to explain a mystery sci-fi thriller film. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Lisa is hitchhiking in a remote location and lying down on the road when a driver approaches and offers her a ride. She is hesitant at first but accepts. Inside the car, the driver, Adam, introduces himself as a night watchman, which according to him, is the most tedious job anyone could imagine. He asks Lisa several questions, finding out that she had a daughter, who should be turning 9 today. After speaking with the driver, Lisa overhears a description of a killer on the radio, and Adam looks exactly like the description, with short hair and a cross tattoo in his right hand. When she is about to confront him, the car comes to a stop, and everything goes black. Lisa awakens in a ventilation channel, unsure of how she got there. She wears a fitted bodysuit and an odd luminous watch, which she uses to scratch the metallic vents, trying to escape. The poor woman screams and cries until she realizes it's no use. There is total silence for a while, then she hears a rumbling and scratching noise outside. When Lisa is about to check it, a small passageway opens. The passage closes as soon as she enters. She begins crawling forward, hoping to get out. She then sees from a distance that a vent closes, trapping her inside. However, there is a compact entry beside it, small enough to only fit her body, and she can barely move. After squeezing herself in, she comes across a lighted area, where the floor is closing in on her, squeezing her into a tiny space once more. Fortunately, she manages to climb out of it. While Lisa is resting for a while, the luminous watch alarms, implying that a countdown starts again. She must be in a safe room, or else she will perish within the vent if the number reaches 0. As Lisa progresses, she comes across a burnt corpse wearing the same watch, blocking her way. Lisa is disgusted for a while but manages to pull it out of the way, as she only has 2 minutes left before a deadly trap comes again. She crawls further only to get trapped again by a gate. A series of lasers comes out at the top of the vent, and a safe space opens, which Lisa immediately approaches. Once inside, a glass door shuts as the countdown goes to 0, keeping her safe from the laser burns. Once the fire is gone, the safe space pushes her out into the small hole again, with its floor closing in again this time. She pauses for a while, accepting her fate, getting squeezed in when suddenly the floor stops moving, and the countdown starts again. She breaks down as she can't take it anymore. Once she finds her composure, she moves while laying down, reaching a pool of water. She uses her hand to get her a drink and then dives into it to lead her into the next safe place, only to get filled with water again. As the water flows into the vent she's in, another drowned corpse appears. Still, she manages to get out alive after almost drowning. Upon arriving at another trap, she inhales as much air as she could and tries her best to continue crawling until she passes out. Meanwhile, a pleading voice in the ventilation labyrinth awakens her. Eager to meet someone, she traces the screaming, leading her to a green acid catch. She carefully braces herself into the walls of the vent, preventing her from falling into it. However, her right knee dips into it, wounding her. She cries in pain until she hears the pleading voice again. Finally, she locates a man who seems out of his mind. The man is terrified and seems claustrophobic, and as time runs out, the gates between them open. It turns out that they are in the burning trap with a safe spot on it. They both run and fight to get into it, with Lisa getting in first and blocking the entire perimeter to keep him out. He grabs her leg when suddenly the revolving glass door slices his hand with the odd watch in it, burning him alive when the timer reaches 0. Lisa realizes that the man is Adam, the man who offered her a ride, as she sees the tattoo on his hand. A little while later, a strange skull appears from the ceiling of the safe spot, healing Lisa's earlier wound and giving her a vision through a tube that Adam had tried to stab her in the vehicle, but some unknown being abducted them both and put them to the test. The strange skull then goes back to the ceiling, and the safe space pushes Lisa out once again. She examines Adam's broken arm and notices 3 symbols embedded at the back of the watch, a diamond, a cross, and another diamond symbol. While she deciphers what it could possibly mean, a vast blade fan trap approaches her, causing her to flee while cutting Adam's hand into pieces. Later on, Lisa moves forward, encountering a grotesque monster who pursues her but finally abandons her when Lisa enters a narrow corridor. She continues crawling inside the suffocating vents when suddenly she hears a humming, which she presumes is her daughter. Finally, it leads her to a bigger chamber where Lisa can stand up. She walks into a projection room and sees flashbacks of her life, including her daughter's death, jumping out a window as she tries to reach for her toy. The grotesque monster interrupts her, crawling at the top of the projection room, which slowly squeezes in again, forcing her to enter a small entry, where the beast awaits. As she tries to escape, she reaches a vent filled with barbed wire. She perceives a skylight ahead, pushing herself through the barbed wire, causing severe injuries. However, there isn't much time left. The monster enters a safe spot, and just as Lisa thinks it's over, the floor collapses, leaving her injured and back at the beginning of the labyrinth. Poor Lisa has finally given up on life and has written down the symbols in blood in case anyone else is abducted and forced to go through the labyrinth. Still, the skull from earlier reappears, heals Lisa's wounds, and persuades her to try again, or it will euthanize her. She chooses to get euthanized. However, when the strange healer is about to inject her, Lisa stops it as she realizes that the symbols are a left or right clue to which path they would take. She then lets the skull heal her wounds and advances again, retracing her steps, and as she approaches the acid tank, she melts the watch's locking mechanism, revealing strange symbols, which are 2 crosses and a diamond direction on her wrist. Using the symbols as a guide, she successfully manages to pass through the first 3 paths. Suddenly, the crawling monster appears and barrels towards her as she passes through the 4th path. Upon passing the 4th passage, they end up spinning in an upside-down vent. Lisa struggles to move forward. Still, she manages to distract it by tossing her beeping watch in another vent, causing the crawling beast to follow it. However, she realizes that she threw the timer in the right direction and heads back to it once the monster is gone. As she approaches the 5th passage, she sees an entryway that resembles a womb. She enters through the bloody and sticky entrance and approaches its wall to inspect. When she touches it, a silhouette of a giant 3-fingered hand touches hers. It seems like there are giant creatures outside the room, and Lisa looks delighted as she feels a sudden connection to it. She follows the unknown creature's silhouette into the next room. Lisa discovers the countdown watch, fallen from the ceiling, and the monster is also there from the other side of the room. The timer is running out again as it chases her. Still, she enters a safe space. However, the vent doesn't emit fire, so the monster doesn't get roasted and killed. As the glass door slides open and the safe space pushes Lisa out, she keeps her feet pushed against the monster's head. As the monster pushed Lisa, she pushes on the monster's head, until she eventually manages to crush its skull. Later on, she crawls forward, leading to the last passage, which she needs to turn right. When she's about to enter the right vent, she sees a vision of her daughter Nina, from the left vent. Nina talks to her as if she wants Lisa to feel guilty, attempting to lead her down the wrong labyrinth path. Still, Lisa stops and realizes that Nina is just an illusion. She apologizes and leaves, heading to the right track. Nina follows her and hugs her. While the kid is comforting Lisa, Nina tells her that they all are proud of her, as if someone is watching her, and is glad that Lisa didn't fall for the last trap. Nina then vanishes in her arms. Afterward, she enters the last passage, where she perceives a skylight at the end of it once again. However, 3 blades slicing down consecutively are in the way. She counts as preparation to enter and successfully passes 2 of the 3 blades, but has her toes sliced off on the 3rd blade. Finally, she sees the light ahead of her and assumes it is daylight. She smiles in glee, hoping that whatever she's going through is almost over, but it turns out the sky she's seeing is just a projection screen. Due to her injuries, she can no longer move forward and has nowhere else to go. Lisa weeps in despair, thinking that her ordeal would never end. Lisa then braces herself once more as she notices the laser about to fire on her. Then suddenly, the ceiling opens up to bright light, and Lisa gets lifted up. Lisa, now looking unharmed, awakens outside on a rocky river bank with a waterfall. As she watches the waterfalls, Nina appears beside her, prompting Lisa to ask if she just died, to which Nina responds that her body did many times, but there's nothing to fear because Lisa is safe now. It appears in the story that the maze is a test to see if she's deserving. In the end, Lisa passed the test, and aliens brought her to a new planet where she would spend the rest of her days. In both appearances, the aliens imitate Nina's form to communicate with her. There are silhouettes of aliens in that womb-like room as they gather around it, but when they show up in the form of her daughter, it's safe to assume they're just directing her on what to do on that new planet and that she'll be prepared to survive. When the strange skull appears, it shows her what happened after knowing that Adam is a murderer. Still, Adam attacked her, and she died, and the aliens abducted and revived her to put her through this test, putting them at odds with each other so she could beat him and move forward. They only took her when she died on Earth. They've taken her to be tested, probably among others, to see who's capable of surviving and repopulating the new world. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like. If you think you knew the title of the movie, comments down below. Thanks.